The main objective underlying this particular video is to introduce the audience to some simple asanas and not so simple asanas. To go with the introduction of this particular book, Yoga Vade Mecum, which I brought out early this year. And this particular volume gives all the evidence that there is, and of course not all evidence, mostly comprehensive evidence of the effectiveness of yoga for treatment of various morbidities such as asthma, backache, cancer, heart problems, mental depression, and numerous other things including COVID. So the name of the book is again Yoga Vade Mecum, and my name is Char, Sudhanva Char. I've been teaching yoga for more than 3 decades. My classes are free and are held in the Hindu Temple of Atlanta and New as well as at Chinmaya Mission. Given demos at various universities, including Emory University, in Atlanta University, and here in Life University. And I had an opportunity to give such demonstration at one of the universities in California, Stanford, at the Jordan Hall, which houses the psychology department. That was way back in 2003, 2004. But the main objective, again, is to show that yoga is prophylactic and helps people to get over various problems, medical problems, health problems, and also boost their immune system. So I have a list of asanas here which impact the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Jnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Koshas are the sheaths in our human body. And most importantly, it helps us to activate the energy that lies dormant in our Kundalini. The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung was interested in looking into how Kundalini Yoga helps to activate consciousness in people, or mindfulness in people. And he looked into it at large, and he has made some serious comments, which are in the book. I don't have time to explain that at this time. And I want you to take away some important things from this. Basically, yoga helps you to generate gamma aminobutyric acid, which is called GABA, G-A-B-A, which helps to put in motion the parasympathetic nervous system instead of the sympathetic nervous system, so much so that the human body is able to tackle stress without effort, without getting impacted by the adverse effects of stress. And stress, as you know, is responsible for 75 to 80% of all sicknesses, including your blood pressure, including your heart disease, including the malignant tumors, cancers, tumors, and various other things, including mental depression. And so if we can take care of stress in life, and that automatically helps us to boost our health.
Hi everyone, this is Jyotsna Hegde with NRI Pulse. Today we have with us Dr. Sudhanva Char. Now, most of you know Dr. Sudhanva Char from the Hindu Temple of Atlanta, where he has been offering, free yoga workshop and classes for many years. In fact, it's close to 3 decades now. And right, Dr. Char?
32 years, yeah.
Yes. And he recently has authored a book about yoga, Vade Mecum. So we're here to talk about this book. So welcome, Dr. Char.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Welcome.
Well, Dr. Char, let me give a brief introduction. Has obtained a Ph.D. in Industrial Economics, Gokhale Institute of Economics, to be specific, Pune, in 1978, and has served as an executive in the Mahindra Group and later as a professor of statistics and economics at Life University in Marietta, where he currently serves as an adjunct professor of biostatistics. He has won several excellence awards for research and teaching. He obtained his yoga teaching certification in 1985 from Kaivalyadhama Yoga Institute in Mumbai and has been teaching yoga ever since. So, Dr. Char, so let's begin with, what according to you is yoga itself?
Yoga is basically a discipline which helps you to define yourself, which helps you to see yourself in the right perspective in an objective way, and helps you to tone up your health, both mental and physical and spiritual, in such a way that you're always at the top of your form, at the top of your efficiency. Find better, as they say. So, once you start practicing yoga, what happens is your life figures in your life as if it's a kind of default chore. Like you get up and brush your teeth, like you get up and brush it, or like you get up and have your breakfast, and like you drive to your work. So it's something like it becomes a chore, what you call DAL, daily activities of life. So once it becomes a daily activity of life, you are at the peak of your efficiency most of the time. You can go down, of course, when you don't practice your yoga regularly, or when you indulge in something which are not required for your body, for your purpose. So what yoga does is it helps you remember all the time, hey, this is the purpose, main purpose of your life. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Why are you wasting time on the TV serial, watching Anupama or something like that for so long? I myself indulge in watching Anupama for hours, because it's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. I mean, every aspect of the movie is great. Absolutely, I enjoy it. But at the same time, you have purpose. So limit all your other things to the purpose. So that you don't go astray, go away from your main purpose. Yoga helps you to sort of fix your attention on that. It rivets your attention to whatever you're doing and helps you to focus and concentrate, and you will never suffer from ADHD. That's a great thing about it.
Of course. So why did you choose to write this book? I know you wrote it in between the pandemic, right? So why did you choose to write this book?
Yeah, it was more like a happenstance. I didn't have the main objective of having it, because like I was saying just now, I was going astray all the time, in the sense, hey, let's go for the pilgrimage here. Let's go for that visit. We'll go to this particular place. We'll go to my cousin's place, somebody's birthday party. I mean, there's no limit to the distractions these days. Absolutely no limit at all. If you want to be, even without being, invited to get distracted, you get distracted any number of times. Even when you're focusing your attention these days, you're getting distracted. That's the nature of our world today, and our families and all that. They're part of our life. So you can't ignore your colleagues at work. You can't ignore your students. You can't ignore the world as such. You can't ignore what is happening in politics. You can't ignore what is happening in science, technology, and all that kind of stuff. So what suffers is our purpose in life. What is the purpose? What's the great purpose for which you're working for? Which you're adumbrating, for which you're sort of dedicated. Yeah. So if that purpose is lost, everything in life is lost. It'll be like a also ran. You'll not be one of those people who want to be eminent, want to establish themselves, but want to serve the humanity or something like that. So what yoga does, it directs your attention to the purpose in life. That's the most important thing. And doesn't easily let you go astray. It holds the reins on your mind, and it helps you rein in when you're going astray. Yeah.
So that's the purpose of the book, Yoga Vade Mecum?
Yeah, Yoga Vade Mecum, the purpose of Vade Mecum was basically to, you see, what used to happen was every year at Hindu Temple of Atlanta, in Chinmaya Mission, and even at Stanford University, I conducted Life University, at Emory University, and various other places I have conducted at our own Sri Tigandi Xavier Swami. These people have helped me conduct various kinds of seminars on why we have to do yoga. What is the purpose of yoga? What does it do to you? How does it help your health? So it used to happen every year. We used to speak. We used to invite doctors and specialists in various areas, cancer, heart, to come and speak.
All of which you talk in your book too.
Yeah, and what used to happen, it used to go through 1 year, it would go to the other year. And so people never remember. I had in my classes, a yoga class, I used to keep on repeating the same thing again and again and again. So we used to have the annual workshop, same thing used to happen. So I thought, let me put down all these things in paper and also update myself on the latest, what we call clinical trials. In the clinical trials, just like in pharma industry, they do what you call blind studies. Some are double blind studies and things like that. Yeah, of course, in yoga, you can't do double blind or single blind study because everybody knows what you're doing. And so, whereas I can give you a sugar pill, coated pill, and say, hey, this is a wonderful medicine, take. You will take it. This is just blinding. So that used to happen. And these kind of clinical studies I gathered from JAMA, Journal of Medical Association, Lancet, British Medical Journal, New England Journal of Medicine, and scores of medical publications all around the world, particularly from India. India was in psychology, psychiatric treatments, and also the International Journal of Yoga. So all these journals, peer-reviewed publications, they come up with the latest clinical trials, the results of clinical trials, what are the outcomes of those clinical trials in the area of cancer, in the area of heart, in the area of backache, in the area of asthma, in the area
diabetes,
mental depression, that kind of stuff. And so what I did was, let me gather all this information and put them on paper so that people can see. For them, they don't have to believe me. They don't have to believe anybody else. They can't deny what's happening in the clinical world or the outcomes are there. So I picked up all those outcomes, and hey, this is what the clinicians are saying.
Mhm.
Doing a lot of research in that area. So I thought there would be more convincing as arguments than just me saying, hey, this will do this for you, this will do that for you. No, the people won't believe that. They want some kind of validation. So the validation comes from these journals. So that's what. So I then because of COVID, I don't want to thank COVID. We got stuck in Bangalore for almost a year or more because there were so many kinds of lockouts and this and that. We couldn't travel anywhere. There were no international travels, and so we got stuck. And within the city itself, we are not supposed to go out anywhere. We could go beyond the street. We couldn't go beyond the street. I was shocked with the kind of situation that was there, and people are not wearing masks and kind of observing distancing. So I thought it's not safe to go to a restaurant, go to even to temples. We were not going, except there's a Karanji temple very close to Vayanagar. That's famous Maruti temple. So we used to go there and at once a week at the most. That too with a lot of trepidation. And then come back. Luckily, in our own vehicle we had. So that gave me a lot of time because you got locked up in your home. It gave me a lot of time to do the research and put all these papers together and go over it again and again. And luckily, I found a publisher who was willing to publish it. So that's how the book came out. Yeah.
Since we're talking about COVID, Dr. Char, tell us about, what, for someone, let's say, who's practicing yoga versus not practicing yoga, how would the COVID sort of affect them? And what are the effects of yoga in a situation like this?
Yeah, so what yoga does is it boosts your lymphatic system. The lymph system is the defense of your body. It protects it's the best immune defense you have. So what it does is when you do yoga, it generates what's called aminobutyric acid in your neurons, and this helps. It boosts your immune system. It keeps your head very cool even under stress. Because one of the reasons why we weaken our immune system is the stress that we undergo. If there were no stress, all of us would live for 100 years without any problem. But unfortunately, every walk of life, within the family itself, within your place of work, wherever it is, there is a lot of stress.
Yes.
And you can't avoid stress, but you can learn to manage stress. What yoga does is helps you to manage stress. And once you learn to manage that, like I said, it generates aminobutyric acid. It's a kind of a pacifier. It tells the brain nerves, shut up. So the nerves don't react. In fact, as a matter of fact, there are quite a few breathing practices. And one of the best practices is Bhastrika, as we call it, Bhastrika or bellows. And once you do bellows, what happens is your mind becomes very calm.
Okay.
How does it do it?
Is that a yogasana? Is that like a position or is it a mental thing?
No, it's a breathing exercise. Bhastrika is a breathing exercise.
Okay.
So I can even show the demo.
Yes, please show it to us. Yes.
So when you, I tell them, I tell students to remember F or S.
Okay.
To be forceful.
Okay.
and it should be rhythmic
Okay.
and sharp.
Okay.
Each breath you exhale,
Mm-hmm.
it should be expelled at the greatest force possible.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, maintain the rhythm. That is, don't change the pause between two strokes.
Okay.
And third, keep everything sharp. I mean, don't drag. Don't do that.
Okay.
But keep it.
Uh,
So, yeah, when you make it sharp, F or S, what happens is your brain suddenly becomes calm.
hmm.
Because it's a very commonsensical thing when you supply more oxygen to your brain.
Right.
Like when you put a person in an ambulance, they put an oxygen mask on the face just to calm him down. Same thing happens with Bastrika.
Mm.
So it's a pacifier basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it generates aminobutyric acid. Aminobutyric acid blocks the communication between nerves in the neurons. So the neurons don't speak to each other like they always do. I mean, by default, they're communicating with each other. Just to lift my finger like this,
Mhm.
I need the coordination of about 14 million or more neurons in the brain.
Wow. And you talk about that a lot in your book, right? The effect of yoga on parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system.
Exactly. So when people are stressed out, cortisol, what I call it the PA system. So the parasympathetic system is sleeping, and the sympathetic nervous system works, and therefore cortisol level go up, and it gives you all kinds of problems. I mean, increase your heart rate and all that kind of stuff, and that's not good for you. It's adverse. It's adverse development because of stress or rushing and pushing and that kind of stuff. What you should be doing instead is something like Bhastrika or something which pacifies you, keeps you cool. In the face of any kind of adversity, like let's say you were in a forest and the tiger comes, you're not panicking. When that's exactly what happens in the case of cancer or something like that.
Yeah.
And the person, or suppose a newly married couple is told your wife is carrying, she's pregnant, when she was not expecting, she gets a kind of shock.
Yeah.
It's a kind of surprise,
Yeah.
right? So you can imagine how much more of a surprise it would be if somebody is told, hey, sorry, you got breast cancer, or liver cancer, or some other cancer, or something. So people think it's a kind of a death sentence, suddenly. Whereas I can give you the example of, in my book, I have given several examples. This Tim McCall is there. Tim McCall is a physician trained at Harvard Medical School. And he took to yoga. And some 4 or 5 years ago, I heard him speak at Harvard Medical School. Myself, I went there for a seminar. And he gave instances how he developed kind of throat cancer. And he didn't panic. Instead, he went to Kerala Ayurvedic someplace, and there he underwent some kind of treatment just to pacify himself.
Wow.
Yeah, detox himself, pacify himself. That for about 2-3 months.
Okay.
And suddenly he found that the cancer cells had gone down in his throat by about 50%. Just by that.
Wow.
No medication, no radiation, nothing.
Wow.
And when he came back, he just took a very small dosage of chemotherapy and very small dosage of radiation, and he's clinically clean after that.
And no side effects from radiation.
He's also the editor, technical editor of Yoga Journal.
Mm-hmm.
And so he narrates this in a new book he has come out with.
Mm-hmm.
I quoted him a couple of times in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic what he's achieved by just, it's a good demo to all the people. Hey, what yoga can do for you when you have cancer.
In fact, I think I was also impressed by, you have this in the book, Amit Vaidya, right? He
Yes.
went to Gujarat and, where he got cured with the cow medicine or
Correct.
whatever they did
So
there.
yeah, I try to validate that with
Mhm.
with more information, but he is not given either in his book or in his writings. He has not given more information about that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have dealt with that case a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no validation in what he
Ah,
says.
okay.
It's as if a miracle happened, something like that. People don't believe in miracles. They
Right.
want validation, peer reviews,
Absolutely.
journal articles, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
So,
Dr. Char, cardiovascular diseases, heart problems, this is the number one cause, for death in America and even in India, right? So, you provide a lot of medical research and evidence in your book about yoga and, the heart related issues. So, can you please talk about that a little bit?
yeah. So, I mean, stress underlies is the underlying cause of. Practically 80%
Mhm.
of all human diseases.
Wow.
80%. This is not me saying it again. I'm quoting the Institute of Stress Management in New York. So they're a group of doctors who do a lot of research in that. So that institute has come out with the fact that 75 to 80% of all human morbidity is because of stress. So if you can somehow reduce the stress factor in your life, suddenly you become healthier. Yeah. So heart is one of those cardiovascular system in your body is one of those things which very uh, you know greatly impinged by influenced by stress. And the one factor that affects your health most is your cardiovascular system because of stress. I mean, yeah. So uh, can control stress, it will be possible for us to do a lot more. Uh, but in my book, I have given a lot of uh, studies, case studies, where people have been able to reduce their, uh, you know, atrial fibrillation cases, pulse rate increases, BP, high blood pressure, and various other things um, related to the heart, and how they can strengthen the heart through simple yoga exercises and breathing exercises.
Sure, one of those exercises, Dr. Char, something that's more simple that people can sort of do to avoid. That's what yoga is really about, right? Wellness, sort of almost prevent before it is even caused, right? You talk about that a lot in the book too.
Yeah.
So, are there some simple sort of things that people can do on a daily basis without having to do all of the?
Sure. So I give the example of uh, she was a specialist in endocrinology. She came to my home. She was stressed out also, and earlier there was a oncologist, cancer specialist who came with her mother, who was in her 78 or 79. I think I mentioned it case in the book.
Yes.
So these people came because this particular one fundamental mistake, which we take for granted, like husband and wife are there. they take for granted that he can do anything and she will excuse, and she thinks she can do anything, she will excuse, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we take many things for granted, which is a mistake. In relations, it happens more often than we take our children for granted. Oh, they'll be all right. They will do this. They will do this for me. And the same thing happens with our colleagues and things like that. We can't take anybody for granted. We should, I mean, there's something in life and leave alone people, we can't take anything for granted with our own system. And one thing which most people take for granted is the breathing system.
You mentioned in the book how that itself people don't do right. That's one of the
respiratory system, for example. What happened in the COVID situation in New York last year, hundreds and many millions of people in New York, at least thousands and thousands of people, they couldn't breathe. And so they had ventilators. Yeah. These ventilators pump air into your vascular system, lungs, which are having some kind of, it's kind of liquidity, some kind of liquid mucus kind of system, which you can't expel. So it blocks your breathing system and people can't breathe. So they put ventilators, and these ventilators pump air into the heart, into the lungs, and make sure that gas exchange in the alveoli, blood is brought to the alveoli, blood is pumped by the heart to the alveoli in the lungs, and the microscopic alveoli, there's a parchment-like thing. On one side, you have oxygen from when you breathe in, and there's the other side, carbon dioxide brought from the body. They both are at the parchment area, and there's an automatic, like osmosis process. It gas is exchanged, and the venous blood goes back full of. The oxygen blood, fresh blood goes back to the heart, and you breathe out the carbon dioxide which brought in from the blood. From all parts of the body. This osmosis process, gas exchange that takes place is a miracle, basically, in every human body. We take it for granted, unfortunately. And so if we can ensure the efficiency of breathing, that can take care of lots of our health problems.
What is the right way to breathe, Dr. Char?
Belly breathing. We call it belly breathing. Okay. So we want people to put their fingers on the belly, around the belly button.
Okay.
Okay. And then take deep breaths. Hold it as long as they can, without holding too long. And then slowly exhale. And unfortunately, a lot of people indulge in what we call paradoxical breathing. Okay. In paradoxical breathing, what happens is when you're taking the air inside, breathing in, your tummy should come forward. There's a diaphragm in the chest area. The diaphragm, when you take a deep breath, the lungs expand like balloons, and those balloon-like lungs push the diaphragm down. When the diaphragm is pushed down, the tummy comes forward.
Okay.
And when you exhale, the balloons go back to the normal size, lungs go back to the normal size, and the diaphragm goes up, and the tummy should go inside. So, in some people who are doing paradoxical breathing, which is a lot of people actually, I've observed a lot of students doing it from age of 3-4 years to 90 years old. I've seen people do that. So instead of tummy coming forward when they breathe in, it goes inside. And that means they're very shallow breathing. The shallow breathing means you're not supplying all the oxygen. Your body has trillions of cells. Those cells are begging for more oxygen all the time. So the more the oxygen you supply to them, more healthy they are, longer they live. So when you don't supply all the oxygen that the cells require, their mortality rate increases, and you're aging fast because of that. So if only people can take care of breathing properly, taking deep abdominal breaths. If that becomes a default breathing, people can live long. People with all kinds of heart problems can live long.
So this kind of breathing we should practice in between. How many?
No, it should become your default breathing.
Okay.
It should. It is not difficult. First, you practice it, of course, and then you tell yourself, "Let me do abdominal breathing all the time." When I'm talking, when I'm excited, the problem with yoga people is that they don't get excited easily. They don't get angry at all. At all. In my case, I don't know what makes me angry at all. Because it keeps you cool all the time. It happened to me when I went to live with, this famous mathematician, Shakuntala Devi.
Of course.
So her grandma and my father were classmates in Madras Christian College in 1911 or something.
Okay.
So she told me this. I didn't know that.
Okay.
So Shakuntala Devi used to come and stay with me in Bombay when I was staying in her apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you saw her in action then?
Yeah, she used to carry a gun also because she was traveling along the border. So she was cheated a number of times in her life. So when she invited me to her home in Kolkata when she had married one Mr. Banerjee, a ES officer in Kolkata. So unfortunately, her first baby died, premature. And it was about 1 o'clock in the night when we came to know she baby died. So I volunteered. Hey, I'll go with Mr. Banerjee for the cremation. You stay home. I told her. No. She said, no, you don't have to go. You come here as a visitor, guest. Just stay here. You don't have to go. I said, okay. Next morning, in the dining table, the cook supplied us tea, tiffin, and all that, the breakfast. So there was no sugar in the tea. So I asked the cook, "Thoda chini lao." This is in Calcutta, 1971. So she got terribly annoyed. She got, "Oh my God, my child has died. You have no shame. You're asking for sugar. What's wrong with you?" I got terribly. Oh my God, what did I do? So I just sort of got up and packed up my things and went to the in Calcutta. That was 71, I remember.
My God.
Yeah, so because I was, despite what she did, what she said, all that, I was so cool. Of course, she apologized for that later when she met me. She was not on speaking terms with me later. But this how things are. That's one of the drawbacks of yoga. It keeps you so cool. You don't react to emotions that much. You feel the. Kind sentiments and things that you react to that internally.
Yeah.
It doesn't show on your face.
Wow.
Yeah. So it helps you to remain very cool, very cool. There's no panicking, absolutely no panic. Whether it's a cancer, whether it's this, whether that. There's one thing unique about yoga is that it helps you stay very cool even under very dire circumstances. So that's something unique which we can.
You know,
We can
yeah,
continue.
no, that's so true, Dr. Char. In fact, even diabetes, right? Now, I think about 10.5% of the adult population, across the world, adult population is
That's
diagnosed.
I think it's under-reporting of that. Some under-reporting of that diabetes situation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, many physicians have spoken to. They said because people want to alert, future, citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, be careful. If you say be careful, nobody can listen. They'll continue to enjoy their sweets. So if you tell them, hey, you already have pre-diabetic,
Yes.
so they scare you by saying that kind of stuff. But the scaring is for a purpose,
Yes. It's for
not
prevention, right? Yeah. You're
not
true.
indulge, not
Yeah.
indulge in any kind of thing. Yeah, the excess of sweets and things like that. So in that respect, it serves a purpose, but at the same time we are exaggerating some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, if you have 6.2, oh, it's already too much you're already pre-diabetic. This, that. Whereas some physician herself told me,
Mm-hmm.
this endocrinologist, hey, even if it's 7 o'clock, 7 or 8, you don't have to worry about it. You can continue to enjoy it, but keep it in limits. And monitor your blood sugar. That's all. But
And
people
you
don't.
mentioned in your book too, Dr. Char, that, okay, it's one thing to be pre-diabetic and, sort of try to avoid things, but people who are diagnosed with diabetes, you suggest Sarvangasana and other asanas that can be remedies to the diabetes problem, right?
I mentioned a case of one, at that time it was 15, 20 years ago, it was an engineer who working for Environment Protection Agency, PS.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman had very high blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
He was injecting himself twice a day with insulin and that kind of stuff, type 2, of course. And he came to my class, and I didn't know why he came to my class in temple. So I didn't ask him. He said that in the temple we teach anybody who comes there. We don't tell them, hey, you have any particular condition, why you do this, why you do that. But casually when we were talking, he mentioned to me, he volunteered to give the information. Hey, I came here because I had this problem. So I prescribed certain asanas for him. And this particular asana is the flow asana.
Mm-hmm.
So that flow asana he did, I told him do it like this is your medication.
Mm-hmm.
Flow asana is your medication. Do it twice in the morning, twice in the evening. He did it very sincerely. And I didn't see him after 6 months.
Wow.
So when I met him after 6 months, I casually, hey, how are you? How's your condition? And he said, thank you, Dr. Char. I said, what for? So he prescribed Asana. I did twice a day. And then he also told me to take bitter gourd juice every day morning. And because all my blood sugar has come down so much, I
Wow.
stopped taking insulin shots.
Wow.
So I have prescribed the same medication to a lot of people, and it has helped. It's called Halasana. So in Halasana, you're lying down. Lift your head, lift your leg. Make yourself as vertical as possible. That becomes Sarvangasana. And then if you can't do the full Halasana, you can do Viparita Karani. So this is Viparita Karani. But those who can easily put their leg on the floor, the feet on the floor, they can do this like this. So this is full Asana. Come down gently. Don't hard land on your buttocks. Land softly. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate the second asana, which is Chakrasana.
Yeah, I think I do. I think you also mentioned another one, Dhanurasana, right?
Dhanurasana is also good. Anything that impacts your digestive system is good. Alright, the next asana I want to demonstrate is the Chakrasana, the wheel position. Again, you lie down on the back. The wheel position is good for, again, improving the shoulder strength and also for any backache. If you have any backaches and things like that, it will get rid of it. But indicators are there for both Halasana and this. And basically, if you have any back problems, serious back problems, don't do it. And also ladies, pregnant and otherwise in the monthly cycles, they're not supposed to do these two asanas. Or for that matter, most of the asanas in yoga. Alright, here is the Chakrasana. So bend your knees, lie down on your back, bend your knees, and lift your hip up. Place your palms near the shoulders, and gradually lift yourself up and extend your arms. You can have an intermediate stage like this if you want, and then go up further. You're on your toes at this time. You can gradually put your feet down. Stay as long as you can. Normally, breathe normally. And come down gently. That completes the wheel. What the side effects of Halasana is cholesterol increases.
Oh, really?
Because it is what it does. Liver is also worked.
But why does that increase the cholesterol, Dr. Char?
Because the entire digestive system is impacted, and when that happens, your spleen, or the liver, where your cholesterol is generated, that also gets activated.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
So,
be really careful about what you're doing, right?
Yeah, my cholesterol has been very high for a long time. I've been very high for a long time. So I've taken some counter steps for that. So once you know these facts, you can handle it better.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very interesting. You talk about let's talk cancer, so many other even diabetes and all of these, they say that most of these diseases are sort of inherited, but in reading your book and some of the issues that you bring up, especially in the gene chapter, right, gene up or down regulation, that particular chapter, where one can see, these gene issues and perhaps prevent it. So I found that highly interesting that, something that's been inherited can potentially be altered with just, sort of practicing yoga and sort of being a healthy diet and, basically a healthy lifestyle. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We are, of course, influenced by genes.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are some typos in my genes, that's going to affect me too. For example, I mentioned a case in my book about a lady who was worried because her mother
Mhm.
was a healthy person in her 50s, I think, and suddenly she developed some kind of uh, fever or something like that, and she dies immediately,
Mm.
instantly. Then these people find out some kind of genetic condition. So the daughter of this person, she she is a researcher at Harvard University. So she is trying to get answers to that. And I think I mentioned it in my book somewhere here. I think it's chapter number, let me see, one second.
Sure.
Yeah, yoga and the genes, 83, page 83 of the my book.
Can you hold up the book, Dr. Char? We should have done that before. Yes.
So the phenotype, as we call it, genotype and the phenotype.
Mhm.
We can't influence the gene. We can't change the gene.
Right.
So I'm condemned or blessed one way or the other by my gene.
Right.
Okay. Like father, like son, we say. Like mother, like daughter, we say.
Right.
So that's very true indeed. But at the same time, the typos, like this lady, her name is Vallabh, Mrs. Vallabh or something like that. She is seeking solutions, and one of the things was you can change your phenotype. That research has been done by Dr. Sharma,
Mhm.
and I have given evidence of Dr. Sharma's work.
Yes, I saw that. That's why I found it so interesting. Yeah.
So he shows very clearly how your lifestyle can sort of impact very significantly your genes.
Mhm.
Even if you have a typo in your genes, that phenotype can be changed, not the genotype. The
Right.
phenotype can be changed. How the gene expresses itself by either uh, uh, downgrading it or upgrading it, or that can be done. So through yoga. So that's a good thing about yoga. You see, you can make it dormant somewhat by stressing the other positive aspects,
Right.
and you can make it active also by
Yeah.
doing other asanas and things which will activate it.
Mhm.
It's not as easy as activating your card or something that you get a new card, but it can definitely activate some genes. You can also underactivate other genes which are overactive. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's what my book talks about. They give the evidence there. The research done by Dr. Sharma is mentioned it there. He's a professor of endocrinology at Cleveland University or something like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Dr. Char, so when we talk about, Ayurveda and yoga and all of that, I know that recently, our Consul General had invited you, to talk about that. So can you talk about, the role of Ayush Ministry in promoting yoga and Ayurveda?
Yeah. So that's a kind of sensitive issue these days. Because the world is being taken over by allopathy system. Let's know that. Everybody goes by that, swears by the allopathy system, and all of us, even as we speak, we are taking help from allopathy in terms, at least for diagnostics, or in certain conditions, like for example, prostate, in case of men, it grows. So you take medication, some medication doesn't work. It blocks urinary flow. So you have to undergo some kind of surgery for that. So, I mean, Shushruta and all these people were doing all kinds of surgery in the good old days, but I don't know what. If the same thing has been borrowed by Shushruta, I mean, by modern allopathy, so be it. So we should have an open mind on this, and if there are, and go for what we call best practices. If for my cough or my son's cough, some kind of Ayurvedic medication is good,
Mhm.
I should go for it instead of drugging myself with all kinds of pharma items. If, for example, for cancer, now many people have believed, do believe even to this day, that herbaceuticals, using herbs, I have mentioned the case of one doctor in Shimoga in India.
Oh yes, yeah. Even I've heard about him. Yeah,
He used to give his barks, and according to the Western media,
Murthy, I think
discovered
Dr. Murthy, right? Yeah,
Dr. Murthy. I mean, he's not a qualified doctor as such,
right, right.
but is an herbologist. I mean, for 12 generations, they have been giving that kind of medication to people,
Yeah.
and the rate of cure in that particular was 70%
Wow.
for cancer. Can you believe that? And free, all that, all the
Yeah,
time.
true. And I hear there's a huge line in front of his house every day because people just line up and it's hard to
Unfortunately, he
get it.
passed away, I think, last year.
Yeah. Oh,
So his son is thinking whether he should take up the family
I
name.
didn't know that he had passed away. Okay.
Yeah, poor fellow, he passed. Because also, around his home in Shimoga, it's a small village. People are complaining. His neighbors are complaining. The cars are blocking, uh, blocking the roads and all that. We can't move. We can't do anything when hundreds and thousands of people line up there. So they're complaining about it. Anyway, what I was trying to say was uh, Ayurveda and yoga have been coming to a Siddha meditation system. They've been there for thousands of years. Unfortunately, they didn't believe in uh, cataloging or maintaining their records.
Yeah.
And it's only some kind of a oral tradition in this. He just says, I cured it. But nobody believes that kind. We want validation these days by publication in clinical trials.
Mhm.
That's why most of the evidence that I have given in the book are clinical evidence.
Right.
And very advanced clinical evidence too,
Mhm.
very advanced.
Mhm.
The person who mentioned about aminobutyric acid, that article came out in 2001 or so, but nobody talked about how yoga creates this kind of aminobutyric acid. I mean, generates aminobutyric acid, which is a fantastic chemical in shutting up the neurons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why was not mentioned?
Yeah.
Was there some? Remember one of the charges made against these petroleum companies is that they suppressed information about the fuel, what kind of pollution it creates, air pollution and all that kind of stuff. Same as regard to smoking. The dangers of smoking was suppressed by cigarette manufacturers for many number of years. So I'm not saying the same thing could be true in the medical field, but there's not much of toleration for other modalities.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, you come up, even you don't, family people will attack you. Well, you're not a doctor, keep quiet. See, you didn't study medicine.
Yeah.
But these facts are there, Ayurveda facts, yoga facts, and all these things. But it's a good thing, therefore, to come up with a manual, Vade Mecum as we call it,
Mhm.
and which you can see.
Vade Mecum actually means a handbook, right? So
handbook, reference book. So which helps you to, come up with evidences as and when you want at your fingertips, instead of having to search for it and here and there. You can do this, and that's the reason the book has come out. And there are many benefits of yoga. Only thing is, it requires belief in the system. It requires you to apply it with devotion to that particular task. And whatever is a belief becomes a fact. when it is pursued so, yeah, to the very end. Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, we are not underestimating fantastic capabilities of allopathy. We need that. That's why we argue for best practices. And for example, if all Americans knew deep belly breathing, they won't need those ventilators during COVID situation. And that means the big breakthrough in the sense if everybody knew breathing, they would in the first place not have any respiratory complications. And cure would have been easier. Just through some pills and things like that. So best practices should be there. There should be integral practice. But unfortunately, like we said, people go more by allopathy than anything else. It has won the credibility of a lot of people. It has cured a lot of people. It has done good surgeries for a lot of people. So nobody is underestimating capabilities of allopathy, but at the same time, we are underestimating other modalities, which have been there for a long time, and they're only sent in, they didn't catalog all their achievements.
So, Dr. Chad, so let's say, people want to start, let's say someone, is past middle age, they've never done yoga before. Is it possible? Is there like an age? How does one go about starting a yoga and yoga practices?
There's no time limit. I mean, there's no age limit to start yoga. A person in the 70s or 80s can start. Only thing is, you start in a gentle way. You don't do pretzel like bends,
Right.
You don't have to do that. Only thing is, it requires a constant practice, like you brush your teeth in the morning, everything, and should become a default in your day-to-day activities. Then you can, absolutely, there's no doubt at all this will serve you. Yes, like I said, simple thing for stress management, the only you need to do breathing properly. Breathing and Shavasana. So next I want to demonstrate Bhastrika. This is one of the best breathing exercises to calm the mind. The mind gets calmed because Bhastrika improves gas exchange in the lungs and carbon dioxide brought in by the trillions of cells in the human body are thrown out. And the gas exchange takes the oxygen from outside and sends it back into the blood all over the body. So here is Bhastrika. You can do as many strokes as you can, but remember FRS. This time it's an acronym for being as forceful as possible. Maintain the rhythm. R is for rhythm, and S is for sharp. Make the strokes as sharp as possible, unconnected to each other. Here is again. So that is Bhastrika. That is for better gas exchange in the lungs at the alveoli level, and also to impart more oxygen to the body, and that will help to make it it serves as a pacifier for the brain cells. So all the stress is gone and you become very calm, and this is the first step in meditation of any kind. It should be the first step. Okay, thank you. Shavasana is very beneficial for recharging the entire mind and the body. Just like you recharge your batteries in your cameras or in your phones and whatever electrical device you have. So this is something very, very important for the purpose. It can be done any time of the day or night. So And according to one of the editorials a long time ago, I saw in Lancet Medical Journal, it says that 10 minutes of Shavasana done properly under guidance from a competent teacher is equivalent to something like 4 hours of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. So here it is. Lie down on your back, sink entire body into the floor as much as you can. You can do that by making sure as much of your skin is on the floor. Make sure all body parts are comfortable on the floor, no pillows, and make sure you don't do it on a bed. Bed should be done on a flat surface, but it could be soft, a soft carpet. So stretch your legs out, arms like this, and you can bend your knees if it helps you to spread your body, back particularly, all parts of the body. Shift all your body weight to the floor, and that completes the first stage. There are 3 stages. In the first stage, you're sinking into the floor, shifting all your body weight to the floor. Second stage, you start scanning the body parts. In your mental eye, look at your toes, wiggle them, ask them to relax. Heels, calf muscles, look at your knees, hamstrings, look at them, hips, tense them, relax them, clench your fist, tense them, relax them. Then look at the internal organs in your body here, abdominal area, small intestine, large intestine, the sex organs. Look at them, ask them to relax, and look at the pancreas, the liver, the stomach, ask them to relax. Then the rib cage, one by one, look at the rib cage, look at the cardiovascular machine there. The lungs, the heart, ask them to relax. Look at the shoulders, look at your body, look at your brain. Look at your brain and the left side, which is supposed to be in the mathematical, logical brain. Look at that. And the right brain, which is supposed to be the judgmental, emotional brain. Look at both of them. And look at the corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is the bridge between the left brain and the right brain, and that's where the conflict occurs between objectivity and subjectivity. So the left brain is saying, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is mathematically correct, this is scientifically correct. And the emotional brain is saying, no, I want my heart to rule the emotions. I want to judge people, I want to do this, I want to do that. So the conflict occurs between objective and subjective right in our brain, not outside the brain, not in a collective group of people, but in our own brains. So resolve that conflict right there in the corpus callosum. Ask them to relax. Take deep breath. Well, now what we do next is tense the whole body and clench your fist. Tense the whole body. Pucker your nose, your eyelids, and relax. Tense, relax. So when you do this tensing and relaxing, you're exercising your control over the entire body. The moment we can't do any of that, it means we're on the exit line. We're going to go away from this world. So as long as you are able to tense and relax, it means you're on fine petrol. You're going to live long. So that completes the second stage. Third stage, we are taking deep breath. First stage was sinking into the floor. Second stage was scanning the entire body part, including the brain. Third stage is when taking deep abdominal breaths, and the tummy comes up. Hold the breath as long as you can. Exhale as slowly as you can. TKRK. Remember that. Puraka Kumbhaka, Rechaka Kumbhaka again. That cycle should be 1 minute long if you can. So that's a demonstration of the Shavasana. It's great. Next, I want to demonstrate Shirashasana. Those who cannot balance, they can do against the wall. And do take help. Any competent teacher, yoga teacher should be able to help you with that. If you have any neck contraindicators, neck problems, and shoulder problems, please don't do it. And also, women in the monthly cycle period, or for that matter, pregnant ladies, please don't do it. So this is the next asana I have on my list. It revitalizes your entire body and works up the Kundalini Shakti. So it from Mooladhara it goes all the way to Sahasrara. And most importantly, it reverses gravity, effective gravity on our body, improves your blood circulation, and also activates your parasympathetic nervous system. And most importantly, it helps with GABA. We mentioned about gamma aminobutyric acid. So that is generated and improves your memory too. So here is how it goes. Go on your knees. Make sure that our carpet is pretty cushioned, has some kind of cushioning effect on your head. And put your head down. Cross your fingers. Keep them tight, not loose, because the fingers may come off from the interlock. So make sure there is no obstruction to your breathing from your shirt or any clothes. And then stretch yourself out. Gradually walk towards your head, slowly, and then take off. Shirashasana is called the king of asanas because of the many benefits. And practically, mostly it's mental. Your mind is energized and all full faculties of your mind are available to you after that. So you can do Padmasana also, Urdhva Padmasana in this position. Okay. You can stay in this position as long as you wish to, and then slowly come down. Stretch your feet back. Breathe normally. Bend your knees. Come back. Lie on your feet. And immediately lie back. So when you lie back, it activates your entire nervous system and helps you to reap the benefits of the asanas. Try to make belly breathing your default breathing. That concludes Shirashasana. Next asana is Shanmukhi asana. Shanmukhi means you are shutting off the gates or the windows to your brain, and so there is no input into the brain from any external source. So keep your fingers like this, shut your eyes, the top two fingers shut the eyes, and middle finger shuts the nose, and the thumb shuts off the ear. So it makes you an introvert. You're looking inwards. Listen to your body and open the middle fingers, ring fingers off the nose, and take deep breath. It sounds as if you have put a stethoscope to your own heart, and as you listen to that, contraindicators are basically those who have mental depression are not supposed to do this. So the Shanmukhi asana, the beauty of it is you completely become an introvert and you go inside your body, inside your mind, and examine what's happening inside. Otherwise, we're always interacting with the external world most of the time, most of the people. You don't get time to inquire what's happening inside us. So this is one of the techniques to go inside and check out what's happening. Particularly, channel your attention to those parts of the body which require some healing. It could be your heart, it could be your knee, it could be your back, it could be your eyes, it could be any other part, or even the mind. So, Shanmukhi asana. Next, I want to demonstrate Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Bend the middle two fingers and clip your nose, open left nostril, and exhale first. Tummy goes deep inside as the diaphragm pushes the tummy down. So exhale, and the diaphragm now. The diaphragm is a particular parchment-like thing. When the lungs expand, the diaphragm goes down and your tummy comes forward. When the lungs are exhaling the air, so it becomes like a normal balloon, and so the diaphragm goes up and the tummy goes inside. So that otherwise you'll be doing the mistake of paradoxical breathing. Please avoid that. So here it is how it goes. First, open your left nostril and then exhale. Now this is Antah Kumbhaka, or holding the breath inside. Now inhale. Tummy comes forward. Now shut out both nostrils and put the chin below the Adam's apple and press the chin against the chest. Hold the breath inside as long as possible. Exhale slowly through the right nostril. Inhalation, exhalation, holding should be as long as you're able to hold, as long as you're able to keep it. Now exhale. Now don't rush to take the next breath. Shut off both nostrils. You're observing Bahya Kumbhaka. And exhale slowly now. I think I'll have to redo this. There's a mistake. So I asked my students to, even executives and other senior people, physicians themselves, about 15-20% of my students are physicians themselves who come to the classes, including dentists and people. So what happens is they themselves are not breathing right. They have stress like all of us. Just because they're physicians, they don't miss out on that. So
in fact, they might have more because
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and in mental cases also, there are very severe problems, mental depression problems, suicidal problems. So for that, it's yoga is a must. It gives them the energy, the initiative which you require, and it helps to go places. And you're at a very much higher level of health, robust health, than just living as if breathing is living. Just breathing is not living, as you know. You're just living. So that's not what we're talking about. So it's very essential that a lot of people start doing. About 50 million people who practice yoga regularly in America. We don't have statistics about that in India. But whatever I have mentioned, 50%, 50 million of 300 million is about 1/6, right? 1/6 of the population is 16%. Yeah, 16, 17% of the population is a big number, or it could be more, like 20% now.
Mm-hmm.
But in India, not even 5% or 2% are practicing yoga regularly.
Wow.
You can see what a big loss it is to the public.
Especially given that most of the knowledge is originated from there.
Yeah, that's very important, and that's why I welcome the establishment of Ayush Ministry. But Ayush Ministry is very subservient to the other decision makers who are all allopathy minded. So it's not helping much, honestly. So they should try to promote integrated medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Integrated medicine is nothing but best practices. All modalities should give equal opportunity and see. And for example, in America, for a long time, chiropractors had a difficult time convincing that their treatment for backache is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the allopathy system in America is recognizing that very slowly, though. At one time, that banned chiropractic practice in a lot of states in America.
Wow.
Even America, for example, yoga, for example, is banned in Alabama.
Yeah. they and I think they said namaste, you can't use namaste or something. They made it like a religious thing, and yeah.
So it's like saying if you practice the Chinese system, now they have various exercises. So if you do that, do you become communist, Marxist, or something like that? Or if you Hippocratic oath is there. Hippocratic oath, if you practice, do you become a Christian or something? No, it's nothing to do with that. It's just none of us is scared. One little bother. I mean, I have so many African Americans come to our yoga class. I mean, besides air hostess, I mean, what do you call it? Yeah, pilots and other people who have come to the classes. And we never speak a word about their faith. We never speak a word. Our business is just dealing with their body, with the mind. And we tell them, hey, do this. Now, some of them who are interested, they go up in the temple and see the vigrahams and all that kind of thing and ask, what is this, what is that? To learn more about it. But nobody has ever told them to do this or that. No compulsion at all. Forget about compulsion, not even telling them, hey, I mean, our purpose is only yoga. So nobody is telling them to do this and that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, Dr. Char, are you still teaching at the Hindu Temple of Atlanta?
Yeah, because of COVID days, we have switched over to online. Teaching.
Oh, you have online now, so
yeah, online.
How can people
there and also Chinmaya Mission also.
Chinmaya Mission. So, if people wanted to register for the classes, how can they do that, Dr. Char?
They can go on the website to Chinmaya Mission if they are in North America. I mean, north side of Atlanta. And if they are in the south side of Atlanta, they can, or I mean, it's up to them. According to their convenience, they can go to Riverdale, in the Temple of Atlanta, and look up the website. The addresses are given. Yeah, and of course, because of COVID, there's some kind of slack. Actually, it should be done more because of COVID.
Right. Yes, I agree. And well, I hope, people really realize the value that your book carries because, you talk about different kinds of ailments and, not just, how yoga can treat it in some places, but also how it can essentially be prevented by it. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Char, for writing the book and for talking with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing this book to our attention. It's available on Amazon.com.
Can you hold it up a little bit? Yes.
It's available on Amazon.com. And it's also available, in digital form.
Yes.
So digital form is costing about $3 to $4, I think that's all.
Yeah, it can download.
But, yeah. Of course, people in India have to go to, I mean, there are other publishers from which they can get it. In Amazon, it's Amazon.in, India.
Yeah. Sure.
But many people in India, they see what's written in America, go to Amazon.com, where the price is much higher.
Okay.
And they have to pay in dollars, which they don't have, instead of paying in rupees. So go to Amazon.inc. I mean, IN, it is rupees. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Char.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph, for the. Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
Sure.